Hi everyone, and welcome to the Aquarius January/February 2023 weekly illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own personal spiritual importance. So hi everyone and welcome. All right, so Aquarius, we're jumping right in. Your cards just came flying out. Before I get into them, we're going to be taking a look at the energy for the week for you guys, what you're bringing to the week, what's going on around you, and then what are the blocks, challenges, and potential opportunities that are coming in. So let's go ahead. Ooh, very interesting here. I like it, Aquarius. Okay, so your energy, we have the Wheel of Fortune and the Eight of Cups. This is saying that there's an opportunity to be found with what you want to walk away from. Eight of Cups speaks to where something is no longer emotionally fulfilling to us, and it's time to walk away from that towards something, or with the hope and the faith that there will be something more fulfilling for us out there. And with the Wheel of Fortune coming in, there's a little bit of this kind of the time is now feeling for many of you. So you might be re-examining something in your life, whether it's where you're living, whether it's a work environment. It could even just be how you're living your life, or an individual who you're choosing to invest your time and energy in, your emotional investment. Now, in your external environment, we have strength. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of courageous, kind of lion-hearted Leo energy coming in this week, because we have the Leo full moon coming in this weekend, in between Saturday and Sunday. So for many of you, you're being asked to kind of harness that energy, that Leo energy, to have the courage to make that decision to walk away from something. Now, looking kind of from the past, moving into the present energy, this is beautiful. This is the energy of intimate, equal connection with others, the Two of Cups. And I think that's what many of you are looking to have. I think many of you maybe have been already working on that, building those relationships, or looking to see how you can authentically connect yourself with others who wish to share their cup with you. And then we have the Knight of Cups, which I personally am falling back in love with as a tarot reader, because for me right now, what this card really represents is moving forward with optimistic faith that you and your cup, meaning all that you hold emotionally important and dear to your life experience, are meant to be shared with others, are meant to kind of be taken out into the greater world on that adventure of sharing of self, but sharing of your love, and allowing others to come towards you with the same. So there's a little bit of this feeling of kind of starting the next adventure, but from an emotional place instead of maybe from a physical place, because I'm not seeing any pentacles come up here. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to be, but I do feel that this is all happening on the emotional plane for you. And with the Ace of Wands, this is the spark of new inspiration. This is like almost like the universe breathing that breath of life, that spark back into you, and your internal flame is lit again. And I think that that's kind of what's leading you at this point in this faithful wanting to go out and share yourself, wanting to go out now with faith towards something that probably is a big dream of yours in some capacity, because the person who's leaving the Eight of Cups behind is walking towards the 9th and then the 10th cup, which is the 10 of Cups is our ultimate heart's fulfillment made manifest here in the physical. And that's where new inspiration is going to come for you. I think there's going to be this moment possibly in this week of that, aha, this is what I want to live for. This is what I want to burn for. Which is interesting, Aquarius, because you're an air sign. And when we think about air and fire, fire cannot burn without oxygen. So there's almost this feeling here of you having to, that your flame gets lit, but it's actually through you, through a reconnection to yourself that starts to feed that. And there's a kind of an understanding here that starts, though, first with connecting yourself with others, and then connecting that part of yourself with the greater experience out there. Now, I am hearing, just in a strange way, like there's a bigger world out there. So for some of you, maybe you need to hear that there's a bigger world beyond just maybe where you've had your sphere of influence for the past however long you've been, whether that's in a work environment, whether that's in a living environment, whether that's even in a friend or social group. So kind of keep that in mind. There's a larger world out there. There's more people to share yourself with. So we have Queen of Cups coming in as your main point of challenge this week. Kind of this is like your block right here, which is interesting because the Queen of Cups, and again, more water energy, the Queen of Cups, and then the Page of Cups. So all cups, you're all in your emotions, your feels, Aquarius. And the Queen of Cups is a beautiful energy. It's an energy of unconditional love for yourself, for your cup. It's also getting back in touch with your intuition. And it's really, I'm seeing it now as getting to that place of just self-love and just love for the sake of love, that you literally are staring into your cup, staring into the beautiful wealth of who you are on an emotional level and loving it. But where this can become a block is when we are not honoring our cup, when we are in a place where maybe we do doubt that we are enough, or that we can share, that our cup is meant to be shared with another. And for some of you, this is just the energy around self-love, or the energy around even a mother archetype. You know, for some of you, you might have mother wounding in the past. But I do also get the feeling more that this is just allowing yourself to be loved and to be first loved by you. Because on the other side of this, we have the Page of Cups, which is, and I love it in this depiction here. It's, you know, kind of like you see a little pig flying up in the corner. It's almost like that feeling of like, well, when pigs fly, wouldn't that, you know, it's like dreaming that impossible dream. And kind of putting yourself in that headspace of getting back in touch with, I like to say, our inner child. That's really what this card speaks to me personally as, getting back to that part of ourselves where we didn't know that something wasn't possible, that we just had a dream. And, you know, this is like when you ask a kid what they want to do for a living when they're, you know, like 8 or 9, and they tell you something, I'm going to be the astronaut. Well, there's nothing to say that that child can't become an astronaut someday. What ends up happening, though, is that down the line, we start to get told that, well, no, there's certain parameters. Only certain people who get test scores at this level get a chance to become that, or only people who can, you know, go on a roller coaster 100 times around, who don't get sick, you know, could become an astronaut because of the motion sickness. There's all these kinds of things where all of a sudden there starts to become this like seed of doubt of like the limitations of what we can and cannot achieve. And this is saying to get back into the realm of the impossible and realize that it, you know, Aquarius, you are truly the sign that can dream up the impossible because you have that connection. You are the innovator. You are the one who can go up into the realm of spirit or the ether, or however you choose to look at it, and pull something that, yes, exists in universal knowledge, but has not been able to be translated and brought down to earth in physical form or in emotional form. You know, you are the water bearer. I think that's why a lot of people get confused with Aquarius, and they think Aquarius is a water sign, and you're actually an air sign, but you bring water, kind of you bring life force energy. When you think about water, we need water to live. You bring that to the collective. So there's a greater element of service for your sign. So you are almost through your mind bringing it down into your emotions, and whatever innovative spark you find up there, you bring down, and then through your emotional connection to it can actually make it manifest here in the physical. So there's an interesting connection with basically thought and emotion for you, Aquarius, to make manifest here. Now, in the main heart of your reading here, we have the Hanged Man. Beautiful energy. This is what Spirit's asking you to embrace right now, to really allow you to make use of the opportunity on the other side that's coming in. So the Hanged Man is a forced pause, a forced change in perspective. This is when Spirit comes in and says, it's time for you to see your current situation from a new angle, because there's something of the divine that needs to come through. Now, it can also require a sacrifice. The Hanged Man, the story behind the Hanged Man is, this ties directly back to the mythology of Odin, the Norse mythology, where Odin, in order to read the rune stones, he had to literally blind himself in one eye. He gouged his eye out and then hung himself upside down for, I think it was 7 days, so that he could go ahead and be able to basically allow for spirit to come in and be able to give him the sight. So he sacrificed his eye so that then he made room for spirit to come in, and so that he could see through spirit. And so he was able then to, read the rune stones after that. So there's something here that maybe there is a forced sacrifice in a way of something you might have to sacrifice. This can be where you might have to make room for something that wants to come in, where maybe you do want to change jobs, and now it's time to maybe have to force yourself to leave a job, or maybe leave the security of that income that gets paid every, the check that comes in every 2 weeks, and suddenly now you have to make room for that new opportunity to come in. Or this is where now suddenly you're seeing your whole life in a different perspective, and maybe you're realizing as you're having this kind of perspective shift of, what if I did walk away from that? What if I did leave this experience? What if I did lean into my dream? Can I make it manifest as it is now? I think what you're being shown here is something in your experience that you haven't been emotionally connecting to in a while, and it's time for you to have that momentary pause of almost like having to take something away so that you feel it. And your reading is very intuitive here, Aquarius. Getting a lot of information, and I almost can't get it out in the way that I can kind of feel and see it. But I do feel that there's almost like something that might happen this week in your connections with others that all of a sudden makes you realize what you're missing. This could be where you talk with a friend and they're telling you all about maybe the travels they're going to go on, and suddenly you feel that pang of, but I remember when I used to be that person. And I remember when I used to dream about traveling to another country, and I've never done that. And there's almost this in your heart space of that's what I'm missing. There's no adventure in my life. There's no travel. And something like that, where I think for many of you, there's going to be this perspective shift of oh my gosh, that's where I kind of stopped dreaming. That's where I held myself back. That's where I told myself I couldn't go for that. And then on the other side, we have the Nine of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. And all I'm hearing is freedom, liberation. Nine of Pentacles is a card of physical abundance. It is a card of where we get to a place of, kind of being very independent, that we are able to support ourselves financially, that we are able to enjoy the wealth of what we have created what we've worked towards, what we've earned for ourselves. And that's going to be different for each one of us. But there is something here that says, I think for many of you, you've been kind of seeing maybe your life in a kind of cup half empty way. And there might be a change now in realizing that you do have quite a bit to maybe not only enjoy, but invest in a different way in your experience. Because this is the only pentacle the card that's coming in, the only grounded card around the physical experience that came in. So this is saying, and it's right next to the Hangman. You can see she's looking at herself from a different perspective. And there's something here around saying, it's time to look at your resources and abundance from a different perspective, because it's going to, I think, allow you to see how you can maybe reallocate and shift a little bit to allow yourself to lean into the adventure again. The Knight of Wands is going out there and doing what feels good. And for many of you, the Ace of Wands, you felt this spark. Something in your recent past reignited that within you again, reignited that passionate part of yourself. And now you're being asked to really embrace. The Knight of Wands is the card of Sagittarius. It's going out there and connecting with life, doing what feels good, taking action towards what feels good. If you see that there's a local concert coming into town and you've always wanted to see them, well, this is like going out there and immediately buying that ticket and then showing up on the day of and being ready to be in the front row singing your heart out. That's the spirit of the Knight of Wands. And I think for many of you, there's this kind of almost like maybe you've pulled yourself back a little too far from living into life. I speak a lot to that just in my practice in general, that we are meant to connect. It is my true belief that, when we think about, for those of you who studied psychology, when you think about, all of the different, starting with like Freud and before him and then moving upwards, there was always this kind of will to what you're trying to satiate in our human need, will to satiate sexual desires, will to meaning, will to, you kind of fill in the blank. And I think really from my perspective, it's a will to connection, to connecting ourselves with others. That's how we best understand our experience. And I think for many of you, there's this moment this week where you're realizing that like, I have enough. Where I need to focus is coming back into life and connecting my dreams, my emotional state, and my passion with others. So it's almost like a waking up. Many of you are going to be having kind of this like aha moment this week moving into the next. And it's beautiful. And it's coming in perfect timing with the Leo full moon, which is all about parts of ourself that we need to really release so that we can be seen in our brightest. When we think of Leo, it's a creative sign. It's a sign that rules the heart. And it's the sign that's ruled by the sun. It's all about illumination, about being seen, about creating from the heart space. And it's the perfect time to get into that energy to say, what do I need to walk away from? What do I need to release in the emotional space that's going to allow me to shine as my brightest self and to connect with life again, but connect with others from a place of lion-hearted courage to show myself exactly as who I am. Crazy dreams and all. So let's see here. Ooh, that is... Okay, well, I'm going to take it, even though this is quite a few cards here. So we have the Chariot and the Hanged Man. And we have the Queen of Wands and the Eight of Coins. Beautiful. Chariot and the Hanged Man. So here's that Hanged Man again. This is saying that the Chariot is where we get into our chariot and we get our head and our heart in alignment and we start to gallop the horses forward momentum towards our ultimate place that feels like home. And this is, getting ourselves back on track and moving. With the Hanged Man coming in, I think for many of you, there was this forced kind of pause of like, shoot, I got the wheels going. And then it was almost like, but I don't know where I want to go. Or this is like where all of a sudden something's stagnated. Like maybe you're working towards moving to a new house and suddenly, the housing market changed, the interest rates rose, and you're like, oh man, like I don't know if I really can do this. Or you can equate this to work. Maybe you were going along that career path, you were sending out resumes, you were getting prepared, you were excited, and then you got no responses. And suddenly now you realize, wow, I was sending out resumes to the place I used to want to work at, but now when I think about like when I get in touch with this dreamer within me, I don't actually want another 9-to-5 job. So there's something here around you were about to take action towards something and something told you to stop. And now it's all because here's that Queen of Wands. This is the fire within. This is Aries energy. This is attractive energy. This is getting back in touch with that witch within you that wants to create. And then the Eight of Coins, and it's saying this is dedicated step by step, hard work, but perfecting something. But it comes from this almost like magic-like place within you of working towards something, building something. And I think for some of you with this image, the intuitive part of me is seeing that I think something is starting to take shape in front of you that you didn't see before. That maybe you were working. This could be like maybe you were saving and saving and saving, and you thought, well, it's going to be towards a house. And suddenly now you look at it in a different way and you realize, I don't really want the house, but I want the freedom to travel. And suddenly you realize, well, I've got that $50,000 in the bank. I can travel. You know, it's almost like that realization of like, wait a second, I can do all kinds of things with this money. Or maybe it's the reverse. Maybe you were saving and saving and saving to go on this grand, you know, vacation or take a year off from work, and suddenly you realize, actually, I don't mind working. You know, I don't feel burned out the way I used to when I was younger, and I really want that home. I want that place to call my own. And suddenly you remember that part of yourself that as a child you were like, I always dreamed about the home that I would have someday. You know, it's one of those things where it's like you're getting back in touch, I think, with a part of yourself you kind of walked away from or locked up or didn't believe was possible. And you've been working towards something for some time, thinking it was for another reason, this old version, the version of you that was realistic and practical. And now it's saying it's time to get back into that dreamer state and realize you have something in your experience that will get you there, that will allow you to feel like you're free to follow your passions. So with the Page of Cups, we have the Seven of Cups, and then we have strength and the Two of Swords. The strength to make the decision. The Seven of Cups can be one of kind of illusion, where we're like, oh, anything is possible. But what about that? Maybe if I do this, that'll be great. Maybe if I do that. And this is saying, but what's in your cup? What is actually your dream? What do you bring to the adventure? And it's saying to have strength to see that there really is no other cup than your cup, than the impossible dream that you want for yourself. Not what other people tell you is out there, but what you know is within. Okay, so then we have the Hanged Man, and we have Three of Wands in the Fountain. I love this. Drawing in from the cosmic kind of, this is true spirit. This is, when we think about the breath of the cosmos coming in to breathe life into us, that is what animates us. This is what you're pulling in, the magic from the cosmos. You are truly connecting to the realm of spirit and pulling in an opportunity. And this is kind of what I'm looking at as my 0 point field. This is where the birth of all creativity is. So if you want to create literally the impossible dream, well, where better to go than connect with spirit, than to realize that it's time to start attracting to you that experience, to see that it can be possible. The Nine of Pentacles, we have the Queen of Coins, or the Queen of Pentacles, and the World. So for many of you, there's been a period here where you were diligently nurturing something into life. You were dedicated, you were focused, you were putting your time and energy towards something. This could have been building a business or moving along in a career field, or it could be that you were maybe building a home space and taking care of children. It could be any number of things that you had really put your time and energy towards and focused on growing something in the physical. But the world comes in and says, that's done. That's done. Whatever you've been working towards, that cycle has ended. And now it's time to see what you have created from that dedicated energy. And now it's time to maybe cash it in and use it in a different way. You know, this could be like maybe you have, you know, I'm just thinking off the cuff, like you have your own, you know, YouTube channel, or you're a TikTok star or something like that, and you have all of these followers, but now you want to do something different. Maybe you're being called to do something different. Well, how can you use that following to help maybe launch that book you always dreamed of writing, instead of maybe posting videos about cooking, you know, or what, there's something here around that, to see that you have a wealth of something that you can cash in on to put now towards a dream within your heart and making that manifest. Oh, we have one that fell off the table. Okay, so we have now the Queen of Swords and the Ten of Swords with the Knight of Wands. Yeah, for many of you, there needs to be a re-examination of the story you tell yourself and others around where, with the Ten of Swords coming in, where there was this like lowest point in your life where you were literally brought to your knees. And maybe at that point, that's where you kind of pulled this fun Sagittarian, fun-seeking, thrill-seeking, adventure-seeking individual part of yourself. You pulled it back because something did happen. You did go through something quite dramatic or traumatic. And I think for many of you now, it's time to really get into that space of realizing that maybe that was your greatest blessing, because now you get a chance to, maybe you were working towards something again that didn't work out, and that was really frustrating to you, or you had to go through a lot of struggle, but yet you kept working at something with the Eight of Coins coming in. You kept working at something. And now it's saying, now it's time for you to look at that time in your life, see it from a new perspective, and say, okay, I had to go through that so that I could be who I am now. And it's time for me to start seeing the reality of what I was capable of going through all of that, where now I'm being asked to go out there and have fun with life and connect with life, connect with others, connect with love, connect with support, connect with that fiery, passionate feeling. And so I have to really start to tell my story from a different perspective. But that story starts by telling it to yourself from a different perspective of, I can, and I can do it all again. I have to sell my house to be able to make the money to travel for the rest of my life, but I can do it because I was able to save all this time before, or I was able to go through a period when I didn't have a home, or vice versa, whatever it is. Maybe now you've just retired. You worked your whole life towards that, you worked and worked and worked. And now all of a sudden that thing that you were nurturing, that business or that, career path, it's done. But now what do you have left? What do you have because of that? As you were working, what came through for you? Do you have a savings account? Do you have a wealth of information or connections? There's something here around that, looking at what you have, but how it can feed the dream in a different way. Okay, so we have two final cards here. We have Mouse Spirit, tend to the small things, number 40, which breaks down to number 4, which is about just applying yourself, hard work, building that firm foundation. And Buffalo Spirit, the abundant universe will provide, number 10, breaking down to number 1. This is the endings and beginnings right here. And I love that because this card speaks to me very much so, speaks to my experience, in that whenever I've had courage to make those changes that really have to be made on faith and almost intuitively, it's time to go. Something isn't supporting you anymore, but you have no idea how that's going to happen. You don't have that money in the bank that you need. You don't have the people around you that you think will be able to support you. You don't have whatever, fill in the blank. That's when the universe will come in and help you, because you are stepping up into the courageous, heart-centered space to make that change, to go through that level of growth, to get you closer to connecting yourself with the greater collective experience. So keep that in mind, that this is really about just, keeping your eye on those small things, on the intimate one-on-one connections, on looking at what you have in your life, on maybe just every day meditating on that dream that you want and maybe walked away from. And the rest will come in. Let Spirit be your guide. So we have the Queen of Cups. She came in upside down. I don't put reversals in here. So I think for many of you, this is saying, get back in touch with that manifestation power that lies within. When she's upside down, she can be a little manipulative. This can be the energy of an individual who is almost trying to, through their actions, attract people to them to use them. But it can also be where, when it's upside down, that can be where you're just focusing on your own inner magic, where you're just literally pulling it within, and you're sitting there going, okay, I'm just going to every day work with my wand. And maybe you're doing it in private. Maybe you have been, doing that with, it says tend to the small things. Maybe you're just weaving your magic a little bit at a time from within. But I think this is saying it's time to start to realize that you've practiced long enough, and it's time to start to bring that out. Okay, let's see. What else tend to the small things? And then I'll look at the abundant universe. And then we'll finish the reading. Whoa, a little too much there. Okay. Anything else for Mouse Spirit? Whoa, okay. Yep, there's the Queen of Cups. There she is. Yeah. Love. These two queens are so supportive of each other. But we have, again, fire and water here. Love yourself. Love I feel like love the present moment, but love the fiery attractive, manifesting witch that lies within you. That's really what I'm hearing. Love that part of yourself. Let her come out. Okay, and we have the Buffalo Spirit, Page of Swords, and the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is also in reverse. So this is coming out of that period of stagnation. Page of Swords. Page of Swords is going out there to get more information, going out there to gain context, going out there to share your truth. And I think for many of you, with it says the abundant universe will provide, the abundant universe is going to show you why you were forced to have that pause, why you were forced to maybe go through a hiccup in your life, or go through a moment, maybe a couple, well, I mean, all of us have gone through a couple years of stagnation and life review, perhaps. But the Hanged Man, again, coming in reverse, I think this is showing you that the abundant universe is going to show you that now is the time to come out from that period, and you'll get to have the information why. But you have to have the courage to know that now is the time to start taking action. Now is the time to start getting those wheels back in motion, to kind of come out of hibernation and start to share yourself again and lean into a dream I think many of you never thought was possible. Realize it is possible. You just have to be the one to look at what you have currently in your physical experience. Look at it in a new way as, again, how you can cash it in a new way to redirect, to make a dream from the past come forward now into the future, into the present moment. Beautiful reading, Aquarius. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. With this reading, I think many of you will. If you'd like to book a personal reading, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website and view a list of the services that I offer. Otherwise, I will see you all in next week's Illumination reading. Bye, Aquarius.